If you could only own one fishing boat, what would you choose? A traditional bay boat is incredible in shallow water, but start running offshore and you can quickly find its limitations. A big offshore center console handles rough water beautifully, but now you're dealing with deeper draft, more weight, higher fuel cost, and a boat that isn't nearly as comfortable fishing shallow. That's exactly why hybrid fishing boats have exploded in popularity. These boats are designed to give anglers the best of both worlds. Shallow enough to chase snook and redfish, but with enough size, range, freeboard, and offshore capability to run outside for mahi, tuna, grouper, snapper, and more. And in 2026, this category is getting seriously competitive. Today, we're counting down the top 10 best hybrid fishing boats based on ride quality, fishability, shallow water capability, offshore performance, construction, layout, and overall versatility. And trust me, the top 5 on this list is absolutely insane. My name is Dylan, and let's jump right into this video. So starting off at number 10 is the Caymas 28 Hybrid. And if a 28-foot Caymas is starting at number 10, that should tell you how stacked this list is. The 28 HB is a big hybrid designed for anglers who want significantly more capability than a traditional bay boat, without completely giving up shallow water fishing. You've got a huge fishing platform, plenty of storage, serious live well capacity, and enough room for multiple anglers to fish comfortably. Where the Caymas really shines is space and versatility. This is the kind of boat that can spend the morning fishing relatively shallow water and then head outside to chase pelagics or bottom fish when conditions are right. The trade-off is size. At 28 feet, we're getting toward the upper end of what I'd consider a true hybrid. And if skinny water performance is your number one priority, smaller options may make more sense. But if offshore capability matters just as much as inshore performance, this is a great way to start our list. Now at number 9 is the SeaHunter 28 Floridian. SeaHunter knows how to build serious offshore boats, and the Floridian takes some of that offshore DNA and puts it into a more versatile platform. That's what makes this boat interesting. You get the open fishing layout and range you'd expect from a serious center console while maintaining the versatility needed for shallower coastal fishing. Where the Floridian really shines is big water capability. If you're the kind of angler who wants a hybrid, but realistically spends more of your time running offshore than fishing extremely shallow water, this starts making a lot of sense. You aren't sacrificing nearly as much offshore confidence as you would with a smaller traditional bay boat. The downside is the opposite. If you're normally trying to get into extremely skinny water, there are better boats higher on today's list. But as an offshore hybrid, the 28 Floridian is a serious fishing machine. Coming in at number 8 is a boat that's really grown on me, the Costa 26.4 HC. I honestly think Costa is one of the more underrated names in this category right now, and what makes the 26.4 HC especially interesting is its hybrid catamaran design. You're combining characteristics people love about catamarans: stability, usable deck space, and efficiency, with a layout designed to let anglers fish a huge variety of water. Where the Costa really shines is stability and versatility. Whether you're working coastal water, fishing nearshore structure, or making an offshore run on a good weather day, there's a lot to like about this platform. And the more I see these boats, the more I like what Costa is doing. The biggest downside is simply reputation. They're competing against brands that have been proven for decades, and I think Costa still needs time to build that same level of recognition. But don't sleep on this company. I think we're going to see a lot more Costa boats on the water. Now coming in at number 7 is the Everglades 27.3 center console. Everglades takes a slightly different approach than some of the hardcore fishing boats on today's list. This is a boat that combines fishing capability with a level of refinement and comfort that makes it much easier to use with the family. The construction is excellent, the home feels premium, the seating is comfortable, and there's still plenty of fishing space when it's time to get serious. Where the 27.3 really shines is balance. If you fish hard but also want to cruise, hit the sandbar, or bring the family out without everyone sitting on coolers all day, the Everglades makes a lot of sense. Now the downside, you're paying for that refinement. And if fishing performance is literally the only thing you care about, some of the boats ahead of it are more purpose-built. But for the angler who needs one boat to keep everyone happy, the Everglades is an excellent option. Now coming in at number 6 is the Young Boats 27, and this is where we start getting into some serious Florida fishing boats. Young Boats doesn't need to cover these boats in unnecessary luxury features to make them appealing. The focus is on building a platform that fishes. You get a wide open deck, plenty of room to cast, serious storage, and a hull designed around anglers who might fish completely different water from one day to the next. Where the Young 27 really shines is hardcore fishability. This is a boat I'd look at if your priorities are throwing a cast net at sunrise, fishing shallow structure in the morning, and then running outside to chase grouper or pelagics later in the day. It feels like a fishing boat first, and personally that's something I really like. The downside is that this boat doesn't necessarily have the luxury or brand recognition you'll find on some of the more expensive boats higher on this list. Now breaking into our top 5 is the SeaVee 27Z, and now we're entering another level. SeaVee has built its reputation around hardcore South Florida fishermen, and the 27Z is one of the best examples of how to build a hybrid without forgetting that it's supposed to be a fishing boat. The layout is clean, the deck space is excellent, storage is everywhere you need it, and the entire boat feels like it was designed around serious anglers rather than somebody checking boxes on a brochure. Where the 27Z really shines is fishing performance. You can work shallow water, live bait around structure, fish reefs, or run offshore when the conditions allow. And because it's a SeaVee, you've got that South Florida offshore DNA behind it. The downside is price. SeaVee isn't trying to compete at the bottom of the market, but if you want a proven fishing platform and don't need your boat covered in unnecessary features, the 27Z is extremely difficult to argue against. That's why it cracks our top 5. Now at number 4 we have one of the boats I'm probably most excited about on this entire list, the Pathfinder 2800 Hybrid. And honestly, what Pathfinder has done with this boat is pretty insane. Pathfinder has been one of the biggest names in serious bay boats, but the 28 takes that philosophy and pushes it much further toward offshore fishing. You've got a massive platform, twin engine capability, serious fuel capacity, huge fishing areas, trolling motor capability, live wells, fish boxes, and the kind of layout you'd expect from a Pathfinder. But most importantly, it's still a fishing boat. They didn't build a 28-foot boat and fill every available inch with giant loungers and luxury seating. The fishing layout is still at the center of the design. Where the 28 Hybrid really shines is value for what you're getting. You're getting a lot of boat, a lot of capability, and the ability to build something that can legitimately cover an enormous range of fishing. And honestly, this boat could eventually rank even higher. The only reason I'm keeping it at number 4 is because the 28 Hybrid is still relatively new. The 3 spots ahead of it have had more time to establish themselves, and I want to see the 28 spend more time on the water before putting it above them. But if this boat proves itself the way I think it will, don't be surprised if you see it move into a top 3 in a future buyer's guide. Pathfinder absolutely nailed the concept here. Now coming in at number 3 is one of those boats that helped define this entire category, the Yellowfin 26 Hybrid. If you want to understand what a hybrid fishing boat is supposed to be, look at this boat. Yellowfin managed to create something that can fish surprisingly shallow water while still giving anglers the performance and confidence needed to run outside. And it's fast, really fast when properly powered. But speed isn't the only reason people love these boats. Where the Yellowfin really shines is pure fishing performance. The deck is open, the boat is easy to move around, and you can configure it around trolling motors, shallow water anchors, live bait, and the type of fishing you actually do. There's very little wasted space. The biggest downside is price. Yellowfins command premium money, especially once you start adding power and options. But there's a reason used Yellowfins continue to be so desirable. The 26 Hybrid has already proven itself. If you want a hardcore hybrid that can chase redfish one day and run offshore the next, this remains one of the benchmarks. Now coming in at number 2 is the Valhalla V29 Hybrid. This is what happens when you take the hybrid concept and push it firmly into the premium next generation category. Valhalla didn't just build a bay boat and make it bigger. The V29 hybrid was designed to give anglers serious shallow water fishing equipment while still offering the power, range, and offshore capability expected from a much larger center console. And that's what makes it so interesting. Where the V29 really shines is how complete the package feels. You can have trolling motors, shallow water anchors, and a jack plate while still running twin engines and carrying enough fuel for serious fishing trips. The helm is modern, the construction is premium, the layout is beautiful, and underneath all of that luxury is still a boat designed to fish. Now the biggest downside you probably already know, it's the price. This is a premium boat with premium pricing. But if budget isn't the deciding factor and you're looking for one boat capable of doing an enormous variety of fishing, the Valhalla is one of the most impressive hybrids on the market. For a lot of anglers, this could easily be the number one. But there's one boat that takes the hybrid concept in an entirely different direction. Now taking the number one spot has got to be the Freeman 28. And this boat changes the conversation because we're no longer talking about a traditional monohull. We're talking about a catamaran. Freeman has become probably one of the biggest names in offshore performance because its larger cats have developed an incredible reputation among serious fishermen who regularly make long runs in open water. The 28 takes that philosophy and puts it into a smaller, more versatile package. Where the Freeman really shines is stability and offshore performance. A catamaran gives you two separate hulls with a tunnel between them, creating a completely different running platform from the traditional deep V boats on today's list. But the 28 is where things get interesting. You're getting that Freeman catamaran DNA without stepping into one of their massive offshore boats. That gives anglers a platform that can handle serious offshore fishing while remaining significantly more manageable. Of course, there are compromises. It's not going to be the skinny water specialist that a traditional bay boat can be, and premium catamarans aren't cheap, and some anglers simply prefer the feel of a traditional monohull. But this list isn't about finding the shallowest bay boat. It's about finding the best hybrid fishing boat, something that gives you incredible versatility without making massive sacrifices when you head offshore. And when you combine fishing space, stability, offshore performance, versatility, and Freeman's catamaran design, the Freeman 28 takes our number one spot as the best hybrid fishing boat of 2026. Those are our top 10 picks for the best hybrid fishing boats of 2026. And honestly, I think this might be one of the most exciting categories in boating right now. The days of choosing between a shallow water bay boat and a massive offshore center console are starting to change. Boats like the Yellowfin 26 hybrid, the Pathfinder 28 hybrid, the Valhalla V29, and Freeman 28 are just showing how much capability manufacturers can pack into one platform. Now let me know in the comments below, what do you think the number one hybrid fishing boat is? But we hope you guys enjoyed this boat video, and we'll see you in the next Barjack's Tackle video.